Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode. I'm so excited to have you here. You are in for a treat because we have my friend, the delightful Bea Victoria Albina, back on the podcast. Now, if you don't recall, she was on the podcast originally, episode 336, and I would very much recommend you go back and listen to that episode where we sort of did an introduction into her work, which focuses heavily on helping you regulate your own nervous system. She is really everything. She is a nurse practitioner, a master certified life coach, a somatics experiencing practitioner, and she helps thousands of women, people socialized as women, basically reconnect to their bodies, regulate their nervous systems, and rewire their minds so that they can break this free from the cycle of codependency, perfectionism, and people pleasing that so many of us are stuck in, and reclaim that joy. And the reason we have her back is because of some very exciting news. She is publishing a book, which is insane to say, and it's called End Emotional Outsourcing, a guide to overcoming codependent, perfectionist, and people pleasing habits, which we all need. And I really wanted her to bring her back to talk about how do we do this stuff when maybe intellectually we understand, like, I know I should say no, I know I should set boundaries, but when I get into it, when I'm at the point where my boss is asking me to do something or my mom wants me to go over and I freeze up and I physically can't do it, what am I supposed to do? I love her work because I think it's such a compliment to the work, the mindset work that we do on the podcast. I think there's so much stuff you can do with mindset work, and it has its limitations. And I know for my own journey, which I talk about in the episode with her a lot, about how much learning how to do this nervous system work, this somatics work, has helped me really figure out how to create that safety for myself, how to get out of my own head, how to bring myself back to kind of a regulated state so that I can think of better thoughts to think. And so I think it's just a really wonderful tool in our toolkit that we all need. And so I'm so grateful for her, that she agreed to come back and share this with us. And I will put all the links to her new book, to her program that she helps people through with this type of coaching, as well as her podcast, the Feminist Wellness Podcast, in the show notes. So after you listen to this, if you want to find her, which I'm sure you will, you can go to the bottom of this episode on my website and get all those links. Without further ado, let's jump in and talk to the delightful Bea. Hello, Bea. Welcome back to the show. I'm so excited to have you here.
I am thrilled to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh my goodness. We've been, for people listening, we've been cackling for the last 30 minutes. And I was telling her, like, we got to start recording because I will never let you get off this Zoom and we will just crack each other up. So it's been such a pleasure already. But we have important things to talk about. So we're going to get our
We
serious
sure do.
faces on. You wrote a book. I mean, so for everyone, I put this in the intro. We had Bea on the podcast. I think I have it right here. The first episode that we had you on was episode 336. So go back and listen to that. And it was kind of the intro into somatic work and learning how to, heal your own nervous system and the importance of that. And, we talk obviously a lot about thought work here and the thoughts and using that intellectual brain, which for a lot of us is sort of maybe I think the gateway into like even understanding our body and our brains and what's going on. But luckily, like we can add
Yeah.
on to it and realize, okay, even if I start becoming aware of my thoughts, there's things that my body does that I don't want to do anymore. And no matter what I think about, I can't stop it. And that becomes like more of how do I really start connecting back with my body and learning how to heal that, or calm down my nervous system. And so we talked a lot about that. We're going to get into some kind of parts of that again, but you have written a book now,
I wrote a
which is
book.
crazy. That is like an insane
It's
feat.
kind of bananas.
Yeah.
Thank you. It feels pretty wild, and I think very true to exactly who I am. I wrote most of it from 10 p.m. to like 3 a.m. while listening to Pearl Jam's Even
As one
Flow,
does.
just the one song on repeat. And I don't understand because it's not who I am, but it's 100% who I am. Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
It says a lot of things.
Yeah. Right, and in the 3 years since I graduated high school in 1997, I really thought I would have gotten other musical tastes,
No,
but
you
apparently
got
not.
stuck in that, and that's okay. And that's what we're gonna actually talk about: stuckness. You like that
Okay, great,
transition?
let's do it.
Okay, so the
I love that, and I thought it was elegant, like a Leo would,
oh yeah, we also talked about
like a
how we're
Leo
both
would.
Leos in our Leo season, so we are just thriving right now. Okay, so the book is called
That's
End
right.
Emotional
We are thriving.
Outsourcing and How to Overcome Your Codependent, Perfectionist, and People Pleasing Habits, which let me tell you, my people need. We all like this is something that in my group we really coach a lot on people pleasing because as we all know, it is like a major um tenant. I feel like just the programming that women get in the patriarchy, it's no wonder that most of us kind of turn out to be people pleasers. And so this is absolutely right up our alley because I think so many people that I know understand, like, I know I shouldn't like, I know I should say no. I know I should, put these boundaries. I know I should stop trying to be a perfectionist.
Uh-huh.
I just physically can't get myself to do it. And so I want to talk about that. But
Mhm.
maybe we start, I know I'm getting ahead of myself. So why don't you tell us, like, what is emotional outsourcing? Let's like define that first, and then we'll talk about what we can do about
I thought you'd never ask. So, emotional outsourcing is my term that I came up with to encapsulate our codependent, perfectionist, and people pleasing habits. So, emotional outsourcing is when we chronically and habitually source our sense of the three vital human needs of safety, belonging, and worth from everyone and everything outside of ourselves instead of from within at a great cost to
it.
ourselves.
What? And I feel like all of us do this because we're just like sort of taught to do this from when we're younger,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and that's part of what I'm going towards, right? So the classical literature when we talk about and think about these sets of habits, they talk about it as
Mm-hmm.
identities. It's who you are. I am a
Right.
codependent. They're labels, right? They're a set of guidelines that tell you who you are. I'm not jiving with that,
Mm.
right? I think it's some BS because it locks us into believing something about ourselves I'm not out here trying to
Yeah.
believe. So instead, I really talk about it as survival skills, skills we learned to get through life the best way we could, given whatever was happening in our family structures, in our homes, in our religions, in our communities, our societies, and under the differing effects of living under systems of oppression like the patriarchy, white settler
Yeah.
colonialism, and late stage
Yeah.
capitalism.
And I love that framing of it. I think for a lot of people, and a lot of what I try to do in my coaching as well is to like normalize, because I think so many people think it's like an inherent fault in me. Like there's something wrong with me that I just can't say no, or there's something wrong with
Right,
me because I'm a people pleaser. And it's like you learned how to survive because of that. Like what a beautiful thing that kind of helped you get out of your maybe traumatic childhood or whatever it is, like get the things that you
right,
needed. And maybe it's not serving you anymore. And we want to learn how to kind of maybe curtail it. We're not going to get rid of it, but just learn how to kind of deal with it. But I think that what you said is just so powerful in that this is something that has been a survival skill and it's not you and there's nothing wrong with
right.
you.
No, and I honestly start at the opposite
Mm,
of the blame and shame and guilt and you're defective and there's something wrong with you framework. I think in order to shift these habits, we need to celebrate them.
mm, I love that.
Like we really need to start by being, wow, I am impressed. I am
Yeah.
impressed. Right? So like if keeping others happy was how you stayed safe, your nervous system logged that as essential.
Mm-hmm.
So let's celebrate that nervous system, right?
Totally. Totally. And there's like all these things that show that like babies start doing this within a couple of months. Like you learn that your caretaker,
Yeah,
responds to your coos or your smiles. And so you start doing it because that's what's getting you fed and love and caring and all this support. So it's like, it's literally wired in us to sort of relate to people. And of course, I think like patriarchy forces us to take it way too far where it's like we just give
for sure.
our whole self. But like you just said, like what a beautiful thing that has taught me how to keep myself safe and get the needs that I have met. And I've sort of learned how to do this all on my own, which is amazing. And now I need to learn how to, regulate it a little bit.
Right. And how to be selective because there are times like for human socialized as women, for BIPOC folks, for queer and trans folks, for immigrants, these strategies can be used
Absolutely.
strategically, right?
Absolutely.
Like code switching and people pleasing at work,
Right.
right? Like, I think it's really problematic to just say that they're across the board wrong and bad
Mhm.
because what it takes out is agency. Right, because if you're being really thoughtful and intentional about how you're interacting with the world and how you're relating to yourself and the world, you can use these strategies
Yeah.
smartly.
I love that. And also
Yeah,
even really thinking about like cuz I think we tend to get into this like all or nothing thinking, right? And I think sometimes like even the conversation around like boundaries and stuff, and it's like this is it. It's so nuanced because like relationships
right.
require give and take, and oftentimes like you can label it whatever you want, but you're gonna maybe do something you don't want to do, or you're gonna say yes to something you maybe wouldn't. You don't want to go to that party. It's not your favorite thing, but you're doing it because your friend, like you're a friend to this person, and you want to show up for them and whatnot. And there is so much. And I think people then guilt themselves like, oh, I always say yes. Like, no, well, that's kind of having a relationship, or like you said, like I'm at work and it's like
Right.
I want to keep this job, so I'm not going to say what I think all the time, or I'm going to say yes to things that maybe I don't want to do because I have to. And so like you said, like being sort of selective and really understanding that like there's no flaw in like wanting other people around you to be happy. That's sort of how you create community and have relationships and all of that. It's just kind of figuring out where it goes too far.
Right, and that brings us back to
Yeah.
intentionality. Like, are you doing the things from default? Are you doing them from your good girl programming? Are you doing them because you're trying to mind someone's model, right? Like, you're trying to get someone to think well of you,
Yeah.
think good things about you, say good things about you? Are you being unwittingly, we cast no aspersions around here. Are you being unwittingly manipulative, controlling, right? Are you trying to shape
Yes.
shift how like, are you doing a thing? Or are you showing up with your full earnest
Yeah.
heart,
Yeah.
right?
Love that.
And like, yeah, I went to a party I didn't want to go to last week, but my friend was so happy when I walked
Mm-hmm.
in. And then once I saw her, I was
Yeah.
so happy. Right? But it is really like I sat myself down and I was like, "All right, kiddo. How much do you not wanna do
Yeah,
this?"
that's
Versus
important.
you're like some little part of you is like, "Eh." And I was like, "No, this is mostly like a whiny
Yeah.
fourteen-year-old who, like, wants to stay at home."
Totally.
And so I can honor that part, love that part, totally respect that part, and then, like, as her adult, as her loving, caring guardian, say like, "I hear you, babes. And
Yeah.
let's go. We wanna be in community, let's
Yeah.
fricking go. Like, drive your friend to the airport. You should do that,
100%. I love that so much. That is, yeah.
right? New Yorkers get a buy. Does LA get a
No.
buy on
Well,
driving to the
yes
airport?
and no. Yes, it's
You don't.
terrible, but like, no, you should still do it. It's still,
Okay, I think New York often gets a
yeah,
buy.
it's so terrible that I mean, I think with Uber and stuff, it does make it difficult
It's
to like justify the level of traffic that you have to sit through. But I think we do need to go back to not using capitalism to solve what community was before, and like helping each other out and being there for each other. So yes, but that is a conversation
someone
for another time.
put that on a t-shirt.
I will. I'll get.
It's a conversation for every time, and so I love that it's our
Sure.
undercurrent. But
But if we
yes,
go back to like
sure.
when it's sort of not useful, right? When the people pleasing is sort of taken over us, or the perfectionist, or the codependency, where it's like my default because I'm so terrified that I'm going to lose love, or that people are going to think bad of me, that I'm just going to say yes to everything and I'm going to bend myself into a pretzel. I want to talk a little bit, like I said, because I think that your expertise in this is really what we seek. Is how can you tell us a little bit? You say that this like lives in your body, and I think for a lot of us, again, we all
Yes.
live in our brain. So, what does it mean that it's not just in the
Right.
mind, but like it's sort of this has been built
Yeah.
into your nervous system now?
Yeah, so emotional outsourcing lives in implicit memory, especially procedural memory. And so that governs how we act more than what we think.
Mm,
So we're talking about brain regions like the amygdala, which is like your early warning threat system, like the fire alarm in your brain, the hippocampus, which gives your brain context, the basal ganglia, which runs your habit loops, and the cerebellum, which fine tunes the timing of your movements and your emotional
mm,
expressions. So because it's also like riding with your nervous system, that main information superhighway between brainstem, heart, lungs, and gut, digestion, breath, and heartbeat. All these things within us are adapting instantly to relational cues long before your
Yeah.
brain has noticed anything, processed anything, or decided anything,
Mm,
right?
interesting.
And so we get these codes, these stories, these operating systems, like you said, wicked young. And then we ride through life in these hyper vigilant, amped up states, monitoring everyone,
Yeah.
right? Like, I'm going to set a boundary, but I'm going to watch your
Yeah.
face like a hawk. I
Totally.
got like full eagle eyes on to see if you think it's okay that I set that boundary. And if not, oh, I'm going to fold like an origami swan. I am backpedaling. I am
Yeah.
backpedaling hard as I can, right?
Yeah.
And it's not conscious. It's the body neurocepting, which is like the nervous system's way of figuring out the
Mhm.
world, like constantly scanning for danger.
Yeah. And that's, I think
And
that's so, there's almost a relief of kind of hearing that, because I think for a lot of us, we do think, we have all felt it where it's like, you, that's why we have like you could cut the tension in the room. It's like nobody has to even say anything, but you
right.
feel something. You come in and you see someone and
Yeah.
you already know they're annoyed, or you think they're annoyed before they've even said a word, because
Yeah.
you're taking in so many context clues about how this person reacts, and like let's say your mother, and you know how she, and you're like, oh, this is, you're already bracing yourself before the woman has opened her mouth, before there's any thought, before there's anything else there. It's like we're
Mhm.
gonna, this is what we're going into, and I think all of us feel that. We just don't know how to, we haven't had the words to figure out, like, oh, this is what's happening in my body. My body is reacting to all these clues that my conscious mind
Right.
doesn't really understand.
Right. Right. And that's why we get to pause. And this is why I bring the science in, because I'm a big friggin'
Yeah.
nerd, as you know, but also because for me, it brings so much compassion
Mm.
in. Because it's not you, it's not me, it's not Megan listening in Cleveland, right? It's your procedural memory, right? It's that time when you were 4 and you said whatever to your dad, and then he had a reaction that made you feel unloved. So now you don't talk about being sad or being mad or whatever, because you've got that automatic neural link that goes, this kind of feeling, this expression, this kind of vulnerability, this want, this need equals abandonment. And what happens as a pack animal if you're abandoned? You die cold and alone on a mountainside, or you get
Mm.
lunched real fast. Lions, tigers, bears, T
Yeah.
Rex,
Yeah.
lunch. Like you're
Yeah.
toast. And we're very small mammals. Like, and I don't care if you're 6'6", you're not a rhino, honey. Like, you're
Yeah.
small, right? Like a bear's got a couple of
Yeah.
500 pounds on you. So like we need
Yeah.
each other. And and the irony, of course, is emotional outsourcing keeps us inauthentic, unintentional, spinning in our own BS, and actually not present. So we're never in real heartfelt connection with others.
Absolutely.
The
I know.
irony
I know. The thing you desperately want most, you're sort of
sucks.
sabotaging yourself without
I
knowing
know.
it, not without, I mean, because,
It's wicked hard.
yeah. But let me ask you a question. So
Well, yeah, I mean, it's your
is this what happens when, so let's say, and I struggle very, very deeply with people pleasing. I've talked about this. Like I've been able to manage my perfectionism with thought work. Truly, like I really like sort of made the connection of like, nah, it doesn't really matter, and who cares if I make a mistake? And I've gotten myself to feel safe enough,
okay.
which is, yeah,
Right on.
amazing. Like I didn't even think that was possible, and now I'm just like,
Yeah,
B minus work ever, just ship it out. Who cares? And which is great for me. It's freed up a lot of stuff.
it's
Which, like,
awesome.
yeah, I thought my lawyer mind would never, but we did. People pleasing, I feel like I can't even make a dent in it. Like I feel like it still comes up. And what's fascinating is that obviously, like, I teach the stuff, I do a lot of thought work, and I talk about this, like, and so many of my clients talk about, it's like, I know it. I know I should say no. Like I understand that I'm doing this. I understand that I'm, like in this, that I'm not going to be abandoned. I understand that I'm not going to die, that I have love. And also, and then when it comes to it, my body literally still like vibrate, like shakes, and it's like, oh my god, say
Uh-huh.
yes, please say yes. So how do we start kind of settling that nervous system when it's like it doesn't matter what your brain, like your body will consistently kind of override that?
Yeah. So let me science
Yes,
this
please.
first so we can do some of that like
What is?
relaxing. So 2 things, story follows state.
Mm,
I love thought work. I think it's freaking great. And the science is that the nervous system state that is your predominant state in any given moment is the one that rules the roost. And the stories that are available to you are the ones that coincide with that
Okay.
state. So you're at the top of a roller coaster and you're scared to death. You don't know how you got up there. Somebody, I don't know, use a magic wand and all of a sudden you're at the top of a roller coaster and you want to
Yeah.
die. And you're super duper scared. What kind of thoughts are available?
Not. Yeah.
F this.
Yeah.
I hate this. I'm gonna die. Oh my God, this is the worst. I can't. I can't. I can't. Oh my God. Oh
Yeah.
my God. Oh my God. Ah. Let's say, you're at the top of that roller coaster and you're really into it. You're really stoked. The thoughts that are available are, this is amazing. I love a roller coaster. Wow. Thank you, person with a wand. Wow. And then if you're so scared that you can't even be scared anymore.
Mm.
You just like wake up every day and all of a sudden you're at the top of a roller coaster. And for the first 75 times you were petrified. And now you're just kind of just, just
Um,
what? Oh, I'm sorry. My nervous system's in dorsal
yeah.
shutdown. I'm just like, I can't anymore. I'm just so done with this roller coaster every morning.
Mm.
So what are your thoughts? I can't.
Mm.
I can't. So the sympathetic thoughts, I have to, right? I'm scared. I have to get off this. I have to get off this. I can't be up here. I have to. I have to. Dorsal, I can't. I can't anymore. I can't do this. I can't even scream. I can't even think about this. I just, what?
Wow.
So trying to change your thoughts without changing your nervous system state, it's not science.
It isn't.
It's just not science. It's just not going to work because
Right.
science. Right? And so we have to do that regulating work. So for you and everyone out there who's like, come on, why can't this change? It's just because science and there's nothing wrong with you. What we need to shift to be able to shift those stories, we need to widen what the literature calls our window of tolerance. I don't like the word tolerance. Remember, I work with human socialized as women living with codependency. We tolerate enough. Thank you. So I prefer the terms window of capacity
I love that.
or window of bodily dignity.
Ooh. I like
Ooh,
that one.
right? So when we think of this window, it's how much BS can you put up with and stay chill, is like the
Mm.
really short way to put it. So it's like a window in your living room, right? Like how much stuff can flop in through that given
Mm.
space. And so there's some stressors that just fall in really easily. Your kid forgot their lunch. Okay, whatever. Someone cut you off in traffic. Okay, jerks,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But then your mom wants to come over unannounced. And it's like trying to push a mattress through a teeny tiny bathroom window, right? It's like breaking the
Yeah.
sill, right? It's freaking you out trying to push it through. It's not going to
Mm.
work. So we need to do the work to widen our capacity to be with life when it's super lifey while remaining grounded or able to bring ourselves back into grounding, which is that ventral vagal state, that safe and social state we've talked
Yeah.
about, of like, listen, I don't want to be on this roller coaster, but I'm going to take some breaths. I'm going to chill out. I'm going to be present to what I can be present to. It's going to be over in 3 to 4 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm going to flow with it.
Mm.
See if maybe it can maybe be fun, but I'm also not going to BS myself. I'm just going to breathe through,
And how do we
right?
do that?
Totally. Absolutely. So,
You're like, how should I
well,
begin?
we yeah, right. You got a couple 6 months, 337 pages. Um, we start with coming back into our bodies. And so the window of capacity in our body is directly related to how present we are.
Mm.
And so the more we can come back into presence, we can find equanimity, right? We can find ease and we can, by regulating the nervous system, can come back into our full cognitive
Okay.
capacity. Because when you're at the top of the roller coaster and you're freaking out or you're fully checked out, you can't think so
Yeah.
goodly, right? Science. So we need to create I'd say daily practice of coming back into the body and really finding our own grounding and our own mindfulness within our body.
Mm.
This can be really challenging for people whose bodies have been the site of trauma. So I want to name that first and foremost, that if that's you and the thought of doing a body scan totally freaks you out, I hear you, I love you. And you get to work one-on-one with a trained trauma therapist to find a framework for mindfulness that works for your body.
I love that.
So with that said, with love and care, many of us, what's really helpful are two simple things. And it's going to sound like, well, I mean, I think this is half of coaching, right? Someone brings you something complicated and you're like, what if it's not a problem? Right? It seems
So
like
easy.
super
Yeah.
freaking
Yeah.
easy and like
Yeah.
annoying and you want to give them the bird, but orienting and grounding. So when our nervous systems get activated, when you're trying to shove something way too big through the window and it's freaking you out like the roller coaster or shutting you down, our nervous systems time travel.
Mm.
The amygdala time travels in a way. And so it feels like you're in the future and everything's terrible, or you're in the past when everything was
Mm-hmm.
terrible. Does that
Yeah,
resonate?
for sure.
Okay. So we got to bring ourselves back. And we do that by orienting the nervous system. It's like when you start a new job and you walk in and they're like, all right, here's the office. You're disoriented. You don't know what's going on. But if they say, here's Pam's desk, Toby's in the annex, Stanley's over there, here's Jim's desk, here's your desk, you know where things
Yeah.
are, right? So we do the same thing for our nervous system. So we look around.
Mm.
Let's do it right now and let's see how we feel. You literally just look around and take in what's in your surroundings. If that's not doing the trick, next step up is to name things you see and just name frickin' anything. What we're doing, the science is we're getting our prefrontal cortex involved by naming things. And so that starts to take us out of amygdala. Anything you do slowly that has a pattern, that has repetition, tells the brain, I'm not being chased by a lion, not currently at least, which is pretty cool. So you might say light switch, calendar, painting, photograph, door frame, light,
Mm-hmm.
goalie, photo, cat, plant, crystal, more plant, more plant, more plant, right?
Yeah.
And just name it. If that's still not doing the job, look for rectangles. We'll pick something. Door, frame, painting, window, and just keep getting my like going down in a category, right? Like pick a category and
Yeah.
work it until you feel yourself calm down. I mean, we have our senses for a
Mm-hmm.
purpose,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, what are three things you can feel?
Yeah.
Can you feel your own perfect little arm hair?
Ah.
Can you feel the different texture of your fingers? Can you feel your own hair? Ours looks fantastic because we're Leos. Can you feel the weight of a glass of water, the density of the
Yeah.
glass? Right? So just bringing your senses on board again, when you're being chased by a lion, people pleasing, right? You're not using your
Yeah.
senses. You're just using panic. You're just using run, run,
Yeah.
run because
Yeah.
duh,
No, I love
right?
that. I think
So
it's like it helps
it
slow
really
you
helps.
down. It's like what you just said. I think that
Yeah,
the beauty of it is that you're right that when you're in panic, especially with so many of us that are really used to like your mind just running off. It's like off to the races. And so you're spinning about everything that's going to
right.
go wrong and everything. And you're just in this like
Everything.
panic mode of like, even like when you were saying at the top, like I love the analogy of like the roller coaster. Cause it's like when you're in panic, it's like, oh my God, no, no, now I need to go now. You know, it's like such a, like in this panic state, which, you know, is helpful if you're actually being chased by a lion. But the problem is like when you're sending an email, you're not being chased by a lion. So you learning to like bring it back, like just bring back your brain and then bring yourself online where I just love the idea of when, you know, you're right, it's so simplistic because it's like, hey, this is the present. Nothing has happened. Nobody
Right,
is, you know, after me. I I'm not
right,
kicked out of the tribe. It's like we're back in this room and there's a calendar
right.
and there's a computer monitor and there's this and we can just calm down to then be able to get ourselves to a state of maybe accessing more like thoughts that can be helpful or getting ourselves to do something else.
Right. And I'll even add, you know, as a first responder, the calmer we are, the more likely you're going to live.
Yeah,
Just to really
for
cut to
sure.
it, you don't want someone anxious showing up
For
in
sure.
a paramedic costume,
For sure.
right? Or, you know, where the chillest? So I worked hospice for many
Mm.
years. I worked at the San Francisco Zen Center's hospice. That was not the chillest place I worked. Yeah, the chillest place I worked was at the emergency
Ooh.
hospital in the Port-au-Prince airport that they put up in circus tents
Oh
after the
my
earthquake.
goodness.
The shift I was on, I remember the head of shift was like, "We do not rush. We do not run.
Mm,
We do not move fast.
yeah.
We do not raise our voices. If we stay calm, they stay calm.
Right.
If they stay calm, we stay calm. And if everyone's calm, everyone lives."
Oh my God, I love that so much.
And like, that was correct.
Yeah.
So it was like, "Pardon me, my patient's bleeding out. Could you hand me a chest tube, please?" But like
Yeah.
literally. And then what happens? You look at the box of tubes, and because you're in this calm, you're in this oriented, grounded energy, you grab
Yeah,
the right tube
absolutely.
versus, and then you're like, "Oh, which tube? I don't know. Here's a cup.
Yeah.
Fuck. No, shit, here's a hair tie."
Right. Yeah.
And we don't realize we get to do that when our mom texts.
Mm.
So your mom texts and you go to the top of the roller coaster.
Yeah. Yeah.
Find your feet, find the ground, orient your nervous system, breathe into your body, recognize how you habitually outsource. Now, a lot of what I teach is not for the moment per se, it's prep
Yeah.
for the moment. And so, one of the things I love to have my clients do is to take some time when you're oriented, when you're relaxed. Maybe you send the kids somewhere, like you've got the house to yourself for 27 minutes, and you sit down and you write out, what are my habitual ways of outsourcing?
Mm.
So, what do I tend to do? Not to be mean to yourself, come
Yeah.
on now, but so that you can lovingly know your habits. Listen, I have a cat who loves to dig. Do I leave big potted plants on the ground where he can easily hop into them? No, that's his habitual way of outsourcing his anxiety, is scratching like a bastard and throwing dirt all over my kitchen. I don't invite that
Yeah.
trouble. I don't judge him for it. He's
Totally.
perfect. But
Yeah.
but I do recognize what's likely to happen so I can get ahead of it.
I love that.
So if you know, yeah, you're going to set a boundary and then you're going to watch everyone's face. Am I okay? Am I okay? Am I okay? Write it down.
Hmm.
So then when you start to try to set a boundary, you're like, "Oh, I'm likely to do the thing."
Yeah.
Okay. And then if you see yourself doing it, it's like playing Where's Waldo, right? And in my communities, I like make it exciting. Like, "Ooh, you noticed, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yay."
Yeah. I mean, awareness is so much of this, is just even if you just spend the time figuring out where those triggers are. And I think that going back to what you said earlier, and a lot of this was how I was 100%. It's how a lot of the people that come to me, because we've been trained in these types of professions where everything is in your brain, everything is in your head, and we've all learned to disconnect. And you may not think you're
Yeah.
disconnected from your body. I think a lot of people like, if you say that, they were just like, no, I can feel things in my body. But it's like, no, like, when was the last time that, if you could, like, a telltale way that I see people and how I was is like, if I ask you to describe what a feeling is to you, like what it feels like, and you can't tell me, like, where do you feel anxiety in your body? Where do you feel shame? What does shame feel like? And you're like, I don't know, it just feels like shame. It's like you don't really know what it feels like in your body yet. You haven't even, like, you totally
Yeah.
kind of broke, which is totally fine. That's exactly what I did. I had like, I only knew of like 5 emotions. I couldn't even, there was no range. And like all of it, I was like, I don't know, it all feels the same: shame, anxiety, anger, sad. I just feel it, but I don't know how I feel it, because I never slowed down enough to be like, oh, shame sits heavy and it doesn't move and it's
Right.
on my chest and it feels like I can't breathe. And, there it starts
Right.
crawling up my neck and there's this heat, right? And anxiety is this flutter and it goes up and it comes through my arms. And it's like, once I was like, oh my God, there's so much happening in my body that I didn't even know. And this took me
Right.
years to kind of really slow
Right.
down enough to be like,
Yeah.
oh, if I'm not
Yeah.
scared of this feeling, this vibration, and I let it come in and I notice it, then, like, to what you were saying, is like, I got so much better at knowing what my triggers were, because I would notice
Yeah.
what instantly all of a sudden, causes
Uh-huh.
that flush of shame in my neck and whatnot and stuff. And I'm like, oh, and it started becoming fascinating. I actually did this yesterday. I was like, oh my God, something happened. And I'm like, oh my God, watch. It just starts, like, the creep. And I can calm myself down now. But I'm like, it's so fascinating that it's still automatic. It's like the instant shame, until I can sort of be like, all right, we're okay. Everything's fine. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter if someone's mad. They're
Right.
allowed to be mad, and I can kind of
Yeah.
get myself back
Yeah.
online. But
Right.
I couldn't do that. Even the triggers, everything, it was like when you have no connection to your body, honestly, I think that a lot of times it's like you were, everything is a fire drill. Everything is a 10 out of 10. It's like,
Yep.
my mom being mad at me and like some random barista making a offhanded comment and, like getting fired. Like they were
Right.
all kind of at the same, everything's
Yep.
an emergency. I'm going to die all the time.
Yep.
And then
All the time.
when I started, like, I think even understanding the triggers is because it becomes easier to even trust yourself to say, like, okay, this is too big for me to deal with right now. Like, maybe I'm not here yet. This trigger is like, this is when I go into freak out. But maybe with a smaller
Right.
trigger, like, can I,
Right.
get myself more present and calm down or breathe or, name things when it's something that is smaller, when it's like my kid does something that just
Right.
triggers me and like, okay, I can deal with, like you were saying, the capacity. Like, I have a better ability to look at, like, can I even work on expanding my capacity right now? Or am I way too triggered that I can't? And
Right.
but part of it is just knowing
Right.
this link, like understanding these things about yourself. Like you're saying, just sitting
Yeah.
down and being like, what does trigger me? Is it when someone's mad at
Right.
me? Is it when someone yells at me? Is it when I notice they, is it like, is it small things? Is it big things? Is it that I feel like they don't love me? Like, where is it? And the more you just even like become that awareness, I feel like is huge. It's like it's such a large
Huge.
part of it. The rest of it is so much easier when you just have this like understanding of yourself.
Right. And what's the most magnificent in that, as you said, it's when you become that awareness.
Mm,
And that's the thing. I remember this actually at a mastermind a couple years ago with a group of coaches, and one of them was really upset about something and kept saying, "I keep doing all these somatics. Why won't it work? I keep doing it and doing it." And she didn't like it when I said it's not about doing it, it's about
mm,
being it.
mm-hmm,
It's about being this version of yourself that honors you, that respects you, that says, "Oh, it looks like I'm getting
mm-hmm,
upset. It looks like I'm having this feeling," versus identifying, "I am angry. I am triggered. It looks like my nervous system's
yeah,
getting triggered. My nervous system is getting activated." Right? It's disidentifying with the emotion so that you can experience, like you so beautifully shared, all that imagery of the sensorial somatic
yeah,
experience of a feeling. Susan McConnell, who's like one of my sheroes, she does somatic IFS, internal family
yeah.
systems.
I've had her up.
God, this woman. I will paraphrase her to say that somatics is the shift from I have a body to I am
Mm-hmm.
my body. And that's what embodiment's all about. It's about being actually present in your body for the complexity of the senses, sensorial experience, and integrating all that sensory knowing into your experience of life. So you're not on that autopilot, which for most of us will be default emotional outsourcing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And instead, you can actively step into greater presence by, as you said, knowing
Mm-hmm.
yourself, becoming that awareness, and stepping into a richer experience of life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that is really one of the keys that I've learned for my own from my own journey of this, because I think I was so, even finding thought work, the reason I was so happy was like, okay, something with my brain, something to do, a puzzle,
Right.
like, okay,
Yeah.
I can try to
Yeah, yeah,
figure this
yeah.
out.
Yeah.
And
More
the more
tools. Yeah.
like leaned into, when you say this, it sounds absurd, but so many of us think that there is some place we're going to get to where we're going to figure all this out, where I'm just going to have this like baseline, never up and down. Like my emotions are just going to be, I can just not have stress and I can never feel anxiety and I can
Right.
be happy. And it's absurd because that's just not the human experience. And you were saying, like, the richness of life is that you will always have a ton of emotions, always, good and bad.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's part of it. And when you can stop being afraid of it and learn how it is
Right.
in your body, how your body experiences it, and also then learn, okay, where am I out? Where am I? Is this kind of going too far? Or where am I allowing this to? Where is this not really as like, I do want to be panicked if somebody's chasing me. I don't want to be panicked if my boss says he needs to talk to me later today. Like, I want to figure out
Right.
where I'm regulating this, not to get rid of it. But I think when I embraced that, I was like, oh, apparently I'm always going to feel emotions. Huh? Who knew? Like,
Huh.
might
Weird,
as well
right?
start learning how to feel that. Like, part of it is just learning to feel it.
Right. And releasing any BS
Yes.
story of
Yes.
embarrassment, shame, or
Yes.
whatever about not knowing. And again, remembering that that too is a survival skill, right? Shutting down to feelings. Freaking
Yeah.
genius.
Yeah.
Genius. 12,000 points to you for dissociating. But like being really earnest, right? Yes. Well done. Now let's learn something different.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah, because if you're not feeling, you're not feeling. And I think it's so
Yeah.
obvious, right? But like that's what we forget. Like I want to have massive joy and like massive like the way you and I
Mm-hmm.
laugh, right? Like is possible because I cry
For
for what's
sure.
happening in Gaza or Sudan or
Absolutely.
Congo
Absolutely.
or Flint, Michigan,
Absolutely.
right? Like and it's part and parcel of having this rich human life and living the essential task, which for me is living in our authenticity from our big open heart.
Yeah.
And if we're not doing that, what are we up
Yeah.
to? Are we just
Totally.
robots? No, thank
Yeah.
you. I don't use AI. I don't want to be
Yeah.
AI. Like, no, thank you.
100%. I think that's the absolute like crux of it is I think so many of us, you're right, it was a survival skill. This dissociation has been beautiful. But what's happened is that we've just, closed the like we just are closing the circle of like things we're willing to feel. And that also closes it on joy and happiness and curiosity and all of these beauty. And that's why so many of us
Yeah.
honestly feel so like unfulfilled or like this can't just be it
Yep.
because there is, it's like, well, I've managed to protect myself from not, all this panic and all this other stuff, but I have cut off all this other part of me. And it's like the richness and the beauty of like allowing emotion and knowing that your body can handle it and knowing how to regulate it in the sense of like knowing you're safe and not outsourcing it and all of these
Yeah.
skills is so so important. I'm still very much in the, beginning stages of learning to get back into my body, and I already feel such a change in how I approach the world because I'm not afraid of feeling, it's just that
Yeah.
fear, the panic of like, oh God, I can't handle this. And it's like,
Yeah.
God, what it that opens up to when you realize like, oh, I can, I can take care of myself. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. And I get to let myself have a full
Yes.
human
Yes.
experience,
I love it.
right? Which then lets us be present for the
Yes.
people we love, the things we love, right? Because to loop all the way around, we talked about the irony of our
Yeah.
habits and how we think by not being vulnerable, not sharing things that other people might not like, right? We keep people from not wanting to be with us, but we don't bring them into vulnerability and intimacy and
Absolutely.
openness when we fear our feelings because then we don't share them. And
Absolutely.
then we fear them in them.
Yeah. The whole
It's,
thing. And you're
yeah,
hiding all your
the whole
gifts from
thing.
the world. We need you, but we need you to be able to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
Okay.
do.
So for a
Okay.
couple of things, and we're going to wrap it up because I don't want to take up too much of your time. But one of the things I did hear you say that I was like, oh my God, yes, is like, I think that sometimes, and, well intentioned people are teaching techniques, but sometimes those techniques don't work for you. So if it says like, take a deep breath, take 4 deep breaths, and you do that, and you're like, hey,
Oh,
this actually activates me more. I'm panicked now.
yes.
I'm having a
Yep.
full on panic attack.
Yep.
Maybe that's not
Yes.
the somatic work for you, and that's okay. Like, again, it's
Correct.
learning what works for us. So I would love if you could just set a couple words to that, because I think people have like, I've tried meditation or I've tried doing deep breaths and it didn't work. And so
Yeah.
it's like, okay, well,
Right.
what do we do?
So, who takes deep breaths? Animals being chased by lions because you got to fill your lungs, hyperoxygenate,
Yeah.
shunt that oxygen out to the periphery so you can fricking book it because there's a T-Rex coming. So going it's going to make any mammal anxious, right? And
Interesting.
so remember what capitalism and whiteness does, right? It takes concepts from indigeneity and
And
bastardizes them,
sells them back to you.
right? And sells them back to you. And so that like whitewashed yoga class, take a deep breath, and that's
Yeah.
it, is a half misunderstanding of ancient practice. Right? When we take a deep breath in, we let it all the way out, because someone being chased by a lion wouldn't do
Mm,
that. Right? So you get to listen to your body and to be curious about what feels right, knowing that just because someone has whatever certification
yeah.
doesn't mean they know nothing about
Yeah.
you or the science and biology or
Yeah.
psychology of what they're teaching, quite frankly, which is a larger problem. We can have a
Sure.
whole show about the white wellness industrial complex. I recently did one. I also did a podcast about when meditation doesn't work
Mm.
for you. So there's a whole study out of Brown. What's up, great state of Rhode Island, greatest state in the union. And I
Yeah.
have to say that since I left Rhode Island.
We'll
Thank
accept
you.
it.
Um, Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for allowing it. Brown did a study about anxiety and
Mm.
meditation, and they found that there's a lot of people for whom seated meditation does
Yeah.
not work. Right? Like my partner practices Tibetan Buddhism and will sit for hours at a time. I am a spastic Argentine Leo with ADHD.
Yeah.
No. No, but I'll do a walking meditation holding the cat. I'll walk back and forth with my brain like blissfully quiet, but I'm doing something with my paws and I'm moving my animal. But seated meditation can F off fully for this
Same.
mammal. But that doesn't make me any less anything. It just makes me
Yeah.
me. And so I want to really validate, and thank you for bringing this up, that there's no one size fits all.
I love
No,
that. And I really, the reason I wanted to bring it up is because I think, like, if you have tried something and maybe that didn't work for you, that's okay. That didn't work for you, you know? And so it's
yeah,
okay
who
to say,
cares?
like, okay, this, and maybe I'm like, I'm too triggered for now. Maybe you can't do meditation now, and maybe 6 months down the road you can.
Right.
There's just, I think when we
Sure.
open ourselves up to, like you said, like, how can I know me? The whole point of all of this is, how do I know my
All
triggers?
of this.
How do I know what calms me down? How do I know what this body and this brain needs that isn't like the person next to me? It's going to be different. And so the more
Right.
I can, like, really lean into that and learn about that and let it be slow. I think a lot of times we have been taught, like, what's the quick fix? What's the 10-minute breath, exercise that's going to fix all
Sure.
my anxiety? It's like, that doesn't exist.
It doesn't
Yeah.
exist. It doesn't exist. Nope. It really, again, back to Susan McConnell, it's all about being a
Yeah.
body. It's all about being.
Mm.
And that's what it comes down to, is releasing the productivity, the perfectionist, the doing the somatics. It's about being. It's about presence. I mean, so the book's coming out. So I'm doing a lot of these interviews, and I get on a lot of interviews where people go, you know, sorry, can I redo that? I was about to be mean to white
Sure.
women. And I think I shouldn't be so mean on a recorded line.
You can be as mean as you want, but sure, we'll take that out.
Yeah, but like
Yeah.
offline. Okay. What people respond to is presence, right? So when we want to forge loving, interdependent connection with others, it comes from presence. It comes from being earnest. It comes from being real and authentic and true. And that's how we forge that deep connection with ourself
Yeah.
as well.
Absolutely.
So if that's our take
I
home,
love that.
it sounds so trite, right? Like, just be you. But everyone's grandma was actually right,
True.
right?
And that's the thing, is I think certain things are cliche because they're true. And it's like I think we forget it because we just get caught in this world and our lives, and capitalism tries to sell us all this stuff. And then you come back to it and it's like, oh, yeah, the simplistic thing is
Right,
that, like, I am a unique body and it's just me, and I need to
right,
learn more about that, and I need to just be, and it is that
exactly,
simple, and we just complicate it. So,
right.
um
Yeah, it's true, right? We should put that
we
on a
should.
t-shirt.
Yep.
Like, the cliches are real. Be yourself. Let it be simple. Leos are the best. Right?
Facts,
Facts.
just
Hashtag facts.
all facts.
Facts. Well, just facts. Nothing
Nothing
but
but
facts.
hard facts. Nothing else. I'm gonna
That's
get those
right.
made for me and you, and we'll
That's
be the
right.
only two wearing them,
Okay,
but
great.
we'll look cute.
And Sarah
And
Fisk,
service us three. It's gonna be great. I
the three
love
of
it.
us. Okay, great. Sold.
Um, Thank you so much. This has been so
Thank you
wonderful.
so
Can you
much.
tell people where they can
Yeah.
get this book that they absolutely need? Because it is really the kind of, this is going to be your gateway drug into somatic work.
Oh, yay. So you can get it on my website, which is my whole name. So it's Beatriz, which is Beatrice with a Z, Albina, ALB as in boy, INA.com/book. You can get it all major retailers
Great.
from Amazon to Bookshop and everyone in between. You can learn more about me on my podcast, Feminist Wellness, and I give good gram at Beatriz Victoria Albina
I
NP.
love that. I will link to all those in the show notes. So if you're driving
Yay.
or not and whatnot and you can't get them, make sure you check out the show notes and you can get that on, the Lessons from a Quitter website and you can find Bea because we all need this. We all need this. And you have a program that you help people. So anybody that is interested,
Yeah,
I mean, first get the book for sure. Um,
sure.
and share the book and get it for your friends who also need it. Um, but if
Yep.
somebody does want to know, like, okay, well, I need help kind of really getting back into my body and I
Yes.
want to learn what my, specific triggers are, how do you help women do that?
Yeah, I have a 6-month program where I do somatics coaching, somatic experiencing, thought work coaching, breath
Mm.
work, all in a super loving community that's called Anchored. I also have several 12-week programs, some of which are community based, some are go at your own pace so that I can meet folks where they're
I
at. And
love
you can learn
that.
more about that on my
I love
website.
that. All right. So make sure you check out all of that.
Yay.
Thank you again. This has been so
Thank you.
wonderful and I know so helpful. And I can't wait for your book to be out in the world because so many people need it. And I already got my copy and I'm so excited to get it when it comes out.
Thank you. Thank you.